The storm clouds of global trade warfare are gathering, and Donald Trump is at the center of it all, ready to unleash economic havoc on his biggest trading partners. His targets: Mexico, Canada, China, and, most ominously, the European Union. But just as the axe is about to fall, the UK, once feared to be in the crosshairs, finds itself in an unexpected position. Britain, according to Trump, is out of line when it comes to trade, but it might just be spared the worst of it. This revelation has sent shockwaves through the political world. Trump has never been one to shy away from economic aggression, and his rhetoric has been scathing toward Europe. He's made it crystal clear: tariffs on EU goods are coming pretty soon. The United States has been ripped off by virtually every country in the world, Trump declared, frustration dripping from his words. He specifically pointed to a $300 billion trade deficit with the European Union, slamming their trade practices as an atrocity. According to Trump, the EU takes almost nothing from the US, yet floods American markets with millions of cars, food and farm products. And the result? A financial imbalance that the former president has vowed to crush. But the UK? That's where things take an unexpected turn. Instead of the immediate trade war threats that other nations are facing, Trump softened his stance. Why? Because of his good relationship with Prime Minister Keir Starmer. Now, let's check out the clip of Trump addressing Britain's trade position.
It will definitely happen with the European Union, I can tell you that, because they've really taken advantage of us. And, we have over a $300 billion deficit. They don't take our cars, they don't take our farm products, they take almost nothing. And we take everything from them: millions of cars, tremendous amounts of food and farm products. So the UK is way out of line, and we'll see. The UK, but European Union is really out of line. UK is out of line, but I think that one can be worked out. But the European Union it's an atrocity.
His words were measured but left no doubt. The UK is way out of line, but unlike the EU, the situation could be worked out. And for the first time in years, Britain suddenly finds itself in a unique position, a post-Brexit nation that might sidestep Trump's wrath, while the rest of Europe braces for economic retaliation. The implications of this cannot be overstated. While the EU scrambles to respond, preparing for potential tariffs of 50% or more on US imports, Britain is sitting at a crossroads. On one side, Starmer's diplomatic play might shield the UK from the worst of Trump's aggressive economic policy. On the other, Brexit itself might have inadvertently saved the UK from getting lumped in with the EU's trade punishment. This is the Brexit victory no one saw coming. For years, the debate raged: was leaving the EU a colossal mistake or a necessary move for national sovereignty? The immediate economic struggles post-Brexit gave fuel to the former argument, with critics pointing to lost markets and sluggish trade growth. But now, Trump's new war on global trade might be the biggest justification for Brexit yet. Britain, unlike the EU, no longer negotiates as part of a massive, bureaucratic bloc. Instead, it has the flexibility to strike its own deals. And Trump, who has long been suspicious of the EU's economic tactics, seems to see the UK in a different light. But here's where things get even more explosive. Starmer's relationship with Trump, which he touts as positive, is coming under serious scrutiny. Can Starmer really negotiate a deal that keeps Britain safe from tariffs? His recent Brussels visit suggests he's more focused on repairing ties with the EU than securing a future with the US. This has infuriated Reform UK and their leader, Nigel Farage. The ever-opportunistic Farage has seized on the moment, calling out Starmer for failing to capitalise on the UK's unique position. Keir Starmer does not have what it takes to build a mutually beneficial relationship with the US, Reform UK's Richard Tice said bluntly. He's embarrassed our country on the world stage, showing no control over our borders, a diminishing economy, blatant attacks on free speech, and cancelled elections. Tice's words echo the growing sentiment that Starmer is more concerned with appeasing Brussels than securing a long-term trade deal with the US. And the numbers back this up. America remains Britain's largest single trading partner, accounting for £188.2 billion in exports in the year leading up to June 2024. That's a staggering 22.1% of all UK exports. The US also dominates the import sector, with £116.1 billion in goods flowing into Britain. The importance of this relationship cannot be overstated. And yet, Starmer's government is walking a dangerous tightrope between the EU and the US, and this is where Reform UK sees its golden opportunity. Farage, ever the populist firebrand, has hinted at his own special relationship with Trump, positioning himself as the man who can secure Britain's economic future. He's floated the idea of stepping in as a transatlantic negotiator, leveraging his history with Trump to strike a better deal than Starmer ever could. This comes at a crucial moment for the political landscape. Reform UK is surging. In 7 nationwide polls, the party has now overtaken the Conservatives, and in at least one, they've even beaten Britain Labour. The stakes, massive, and with the upcoming mega rally in Birmingham, Farage is pulling out all the stops. He's promising an event never before seen in British politics, a show of strength that signals Reform UK is not just a fringe movement anymore. And yet, despite all of this, Britain remains on a knife's edge. Will Starmer's relationship reset with the EU drag Britain back into the crossfire of Trump's tariffs? Will the US eventually lump the UK in with the EU's economic retaliation, punishing Britain alongside the bloc it supposedly left behind? Or will the UK truly dodge the bullet, emerging as a trade powerhouse, independent of both the EU and America's wrath? There's one final twist that could change everything: the Chagos Islands dispute. Recent reports suggest that Starmer is preparing to surrender control of the strategic Indian Ocean territory. This move has infuriated key figures in Washington, with critics warning that it could severely damage Britain's standing with the US. Farage, ever ready to capitalize, has issued a stark warning: if Britain gives up the Chagos Islands, Trump's goodwill toward the UK could evaporate overnight. "We've got fantastic opportunities to show our flexibility and why Brexit was a good idea," Farage said, "but Chagos would sink it. And this is the true danger for Starmer. One wrong move, and the UK's privileged position could vanish in an instant. Will Britain seize this historic opportunity to establish itself as a major global player outside the EU, forging a deal with Trump that ensures economic security? Or will Starmer's EU-friendly approach backfire spectacularly, dragging the UK into a devastating trade war it was so close to avoiding? One thing is certain: the coming months will define Britain's economic fate for years to come, and with tensions escalating on both sides of the Atlantic, the time for careful diplomacy is running out.